Hey, everybody, welcome to Takeoff with John Clark. And let's bring in a special guest to talk about the Eagles. The Steelers are coming to town, but we got to talk about the 9-game winning streak. Let's bring in Emmanuel Acho, former Eagles linebacker and a host on FS1's The Facility. I love watching your stuff, especially on social media, your breakdowns. Keep up the great work, and I appreciate you taking the time.
My brother, good to see you, my man. Good to see you. Let's get to it.
Yeah, so it's fascinating because overall, it's funny because all Eagles fans, what they want the team to do is run the ball, run the ball. They had signs out the facility, and all the Eagles are doing is running the ball now. And now they're upset with the passing game, with good reason, over the last couple games. What do you think is the issue with the passing game right now?
You talked to certain quarterbacks that played in the National Football League, and I heard it said, well, Jalen Hurts, is he currently grasping the depth perception of the defense? That's a good way to put it. If you're looking at a 15-yard comeback by an outside receiver, call it A.J. Brown. Say you have a corner sitting under that comeback at about 8 yards. Well, Jalen could get the ball over that cornerback, but if he's struggling to understand depth perception of a defense, he might be waiting to see it come completely open as opposed to throwing it with the anticipation. I think sometimes Jalen lacks the will to make the throw, and other times Jalen lacks the skill to make the throw. You know what I mean? Like sometimes he lacks the will to even take it, and then sometimes he lacks the skill to make it. But here's my thing is the knock on the Eagles passing game right now is it's minutia. Like the Eagles are on a 9-game win streak. The offense still looks good. It could for sure look better. Offense still looks good. And I want to make one thing abundantly clear, though, on this topic. The two things are not like mutually exclusive in the sense that the run game can be great and the passing game can be better. The elite run game is no excuse for 108 passing yards this week and 118 last week. So let's not try to say, well, the Eagles have such a good running game. That's why the passing game is lackluster. No. The passing game is bad because the passing game is bad, period.
And I saw your breakdown on social media, on Twitter, great breakdown. And yes, A.J. Brown is one of the absolute best receivers in football. And we have seen there's been a couple games here and there where he's not targeted enough. He wasn't targeted until the second quarter, had 4 total targets. That also happened in the Jags game. What happens the next game? He's going to go over 100 yards. So do you fully expect the coaches and Jalen Hurts to learn from this game and A.J. will eat the next game?
I do, but the dilemma is you don't have that luxury of needing this lesson every single week. You knew A.J. Brown's a top 5 receiver. I think he's a back-to-back All-Pro. You should need a 4-target game to understand and get A.J. Brown the ball. And don't get A.J. Brown the ball because he's complaining. Get him the ball because your offense works best when you get him the ball. You know what I'm saying? Like, this isn't about the squeaky wheel getting the oil. This is about the most valuable wheel getting the oil. So I don't get him the ball just because he said the passing game needs work. In the midst of that game, bro, I'm wondering, like, why haven't y'all called a now screen? Why haven't y'all just gotten him a touch? Like, why haven't y'all take the option out of Jalen Hurts' hands? Down said, hike, 3, ball out now. Run a tunnel screen for him. Like, do something just to get your second best playmaker the ball.
It is interesting because there's been some times where AJ is obviously double covered, but you can still throw it to him. But in this game particularly, and you broke down the film more than I did, there were legitimate times where he was open quickly, get the ball out. And why do you think Jalen didn't pull the trigger on some of those?
I think currently Jalen is so afraid to turn the ball over. He's waiting till a receiver breaks completely open as opposed to throwing them open. Oftentimes in the NFL, you got to throw a guy open. Jalen waits to see a guy open. Now, James Jones led the league in receiving touchdowns. He does the facility with me every day. He said something fascinating. Jalen needs to better understand his targets. Kurt Warner spoke of playing with Isaac Bruce and Torrey Holt. Playing with Isaac Bruce and Torrey Holt, wide open. 5 yards of separation. They're wide open. But when Kurt Warner had to play with Larry Fitzgerald and Anquan Bolden, this was open. Leaning on a defender, that's open. You got to understand, A.J. Brown, if it's 50-50, he's open. Like, A.J. Brown is not Tyreek Hill. A.J. Brown will for sure get separation, and he did get separation last game. But A.J. Brown, it was 3rd and 7. Jalen scrambles left, and I think he ends up going out of bounds. Throw it to A.J. Like, if he's here with him, that's open. And you have to understand your personnel. So for me, at least watching the tape, because the tape is so loud, I can't hear what other people are telling me. Watching the tape, it's as though Jalen needs to wait to see him be completely open as opposed to throwing him open. And then sometimes when he is completely open, he goes elsewhere.
So obviously the big question is, because we have seen this before where there's a couple games where they're not in sync in the passing game and then they fix it. Do you think this is a big concern for the Eagles, that this would preclude them from reaching their goal of winning a Super Bowl?
It's a huge concern, and absolutely. The
Really?
only team I think, well, because it's all about matchups. If you watched the Bills lose yesterday to the Rams, how many teams in the AFC can present the offensive challenge that the Rams presented to the Bills? Not many. Maybe the Rams, if they're clicking on all cylinders, maybe. In the NFC, how many teams can present challenges that would worry the Eagles? The Detroit Lions. Because the Eagles start slow and the Lions start fast. Lions lead the league right now. I believe they average 19.6 points per game in the first half. Eagles are fourth worst in the NFL in the first quarter. So if the Lions end up, I don't know, taking a 17-3 lead, and now you can't run the ball as much because your offensive coordinator is a former quarterback, your head coach is a former receivers coach, so now you're going to pass the ball. Now what happens? So, of course, this could preclude the Eagles from getting to a Super Bowl if they get stress tested by the Detroit Lions. You'll beat the freaking Commanders. They're not going to stress test you. You will beat the Panthers, obviously. You'll beat the Seahawks in the playoffs. You'll probably even beat the Packers. But if you play the Lions and the Lions come out there and boom, 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 and next thing you know, it's 20-6, 5 minutes left in the second quarter, and Saquon's only got 5 touches, now what?
Look, I think you make a good point, because I agree with you. Like, I think the Eagles can beat the Chiefs in a Super Bowl because the Chiefs, obviously, they're not the same offensively right now. And I agree with you. Lions, Bills, very concerning. I don't think the Eagles have technically been in a shootout yet. They went to Cincinnati, and unlike the Steelers, who were in a shootout with Cincinnati, the Eagles' defense is so good that they held Cincinnati down. So that's the big question to me. A shootout game, can they hold up in the passing game and outduel somebody?
Then that's the great question. Here's the blessing and the curse. We likely won't find out until we play the Lions. There aren't that many offenses in the National Football League that can put the Eagles in a shootout type of position. The Detroit Lions can. The Packers, if they're hot, they can. In the NFC, it's hard to say the Rams because the Eagles just saw the Rams and gave them that work. So it's hard to say the Rams, but the Lions are the team that Eagles fans need to sober up and not necessarily be concerned about, but be mindful of. That is the team that can stress test the Eagles, take enough of a lead that you forget about Saquon, and now Jalen got to pass the ball.
And I tell you, when you watch this Eagles defense now, as you were a former Eagles linebacker, how proud are you as a former Bird to see the way this defense is balling out? And when is the last time they've had linebackers like this?
Man, you haven't seen somebody play at Baun's level in God knows how long. Now, I won't disrespect what Jordan Hicks and Nigel Bradham did the Super Bowl year. Obviously, Hicks ended up getting hurt. I can't even necessarily disrespect what TJ Edwards did that Super Bowl year, but what Baun is doing statistically and impact-wise, I mean, I'm about to drop it on social media now and say he's currently the defensive player of the year. So
wow.
Baun is think about, bro, and I'm not even trying to be biased. You know, some Eagles fans think I hate the, I'm not even trying to be biased. He's currently probably the DPOY. I mean, Myles Garrett, his team is atrocious. TJ Watt, his stats don't jump off the screen like usual. His forced fumbles do. I think he still leads the league in forced fumbles. But, bro, Baun he's killing it. So I love what the Eagles are doing defensively, and I'm glad Vic Fangio learned his lesson last game. I was watching the game, and I said, Vic, bro, why are you bringing pressure right now? Leggett dropped the ball. Vic don't even bring pressure. He's not even a pressure-bringing dude. Decided to bring pressure. We got beat. Leggett dropped the ball. I'm glad the Eagles, and right after that, he went back to 2 high safeties. So I'm glad the Eagles are learning from their mistakes and not getting burned by it.
So, Emmanuel, that is a great thing to hear that you would have Zack Baun as your defensive player of the year. I want to ask you as a defensive player. So, to me, I think they should develop statistics to give others assists because what Jalen Carter is doing on the defensive line, but also Jordan Davis sometimes taking up space that allows linebackers to get in there. Don't you think they should come up with a good statistic like in the Super Bowl where BG gets the sack of Tom Brady, but it was really Fletcher Cox getting double teamed that allows that to happen?
The only statistic I would care for in regards to what you're saying, an assisted sack, if a dude touches him first and the quarterback is scrambling for his life and somebody else jumps on the pile. But outside of that, you know what it is, man. It'll all the law of averages. You'll get yours.
But what about the play of Jalen Carter that kind of makes the defense go and that defensive line getting the pressure up the middle?
Bro, everybody's balling, right? Like, if I say Jalen Carter makes the defense go and he's balling, I can't take away credit from what Baun is doing. You know what I mean? Like, Baun's making the defense go too. Quinyon Mitchell making the defense go too. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson being the enforcer, making it go too. What Cooper DeJean has been able to do, shoring up that slot spot, making the defense go too. Josh Sweat, him showing up, doing his thing, getting sacks now. So Carter is a beast. And Carter is an all-pro this year right now as well, based upon what I'm seeing on tape. But I can't undermine. Baun is making special plays, bro. He's making special plays, bro.
Could you have imagined watching the Eagles defense the way it went last year,
No.
worst in the NFL, to get to this point?
And no again. I couldn't have imagined watching the Dolphins under Vic Fangio because I talked to some Dolphins players and they told me over the summer in confidence, like, Vic doesn't know how to adjust. We didn't like him this. We didn't like him that. And maybe it wasn't a good fit there. You know, Miami's a little more flash and dash. Philly's a little more gritty, a little more tough nose as an organization, as a city, and as a team. I couldn't have imagined it, not at all. But one, credit to Howie, and two, credit to Vic. And then also, because more than Vic, I don't know the names of the linebacker coaches and the DB coaches anymore. They're doing great. It's not just Vic. When you see linebackers and DBs collectively as a unit playing well, that's above the defensive coordinator's pay grade. That has to do with position coaches.
And obviously you being from Philly during your time in the NFL, you know how hard it has been to find good corners because usually they had to go on the free agent scrap heap sometimes. They signed the big free agent corners. Nnamdi Asomugha didn't work out. How incredible Quinyon Mitchell. I was talking to Slay about this after the game. They hardly even target him.
Dude, you know what's a blessing and another curse is because Quinyon doesn't get any attention on the field, he doesn't get any attention off the field. Like, unless you watch the game tape, it's hard to know how good he is because he don't really get PBUs, to my knowledge. He don't really get no picks, to my knowledge. You don't even see him during the game because he don't get tried. Like, he literally doesn't get tried at all. So I can't wait to see him get stress tested too. Honestly, I can't wait to see the Lions game, right? All these other games are cool. They fun. Ha, kiki. I want to see the Lions game. I want to see a rematch of the Packers. And the Vikings are sneaky.
Well, how about this Sunday, George Pickens?
Pickens is just interesting, though, because even Pickens' game, one, he has a grade 2 hamstring to my knowledge, and two, Pickens has such a different game. He's all 50-50 balls. That's Russ's game. 50-50 balls, obviously, viewers at home. It's just deep shots, see what happens. Like, he's not going to route you up. He's not going to really give you nothing at the top. He's going to run go balls, comebacks, and Russ is just going to throw it up and see if you can make a play on the ball.
And we're going to be watching you this week on the facility on FS1 because this Eagles-Steelers matchup, kind of like Eagles-Ravens, is one of the biggest games of the weekend and maybe the biggest. And when you see these two teams with basically led by their defense, and they've both got strong running games, obviously the Eagles is better, but the quarterback play, obviously both cities and fan bases are questioning, do we have enough in the passing game to be a Super Bowl champ? How great of a matchup do you think this is between Eagles and Steelers?
I think it's a really good matchup because it's two physical teams, two well-coached teams, two tough teams, two run-the-ball, play defense teams. Jalen Hurts, to me, right now is a better winner than Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's a better passer than Jalen Hurts. I will take the Eagles because unless the Eagles are playing the Chiefs or the Lions right now, I'm taking the Eagles. If the Eagles are playing the Lions, I'm still probably taking the Eagles. So it will come down, I think, to can the Steelers stop the run? If the Steelers can stop the run, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, this is another fun one. You gave us your defensive player of the year, Zack Baun. Can you give me your MVP choice as of right now?
Oh, Josh Allen. It's not particularly close. If Saquon breaks the record and does something that we've never seen done, yeah. But until Saquon literally breaks the record, it's Josh Allen. Saquon is great player, great story, great year. But until he breaks the record, bro, what Josh is doing with that, bro, and I'm going to say this and I'm done with it. You know who Matt Collins is because you in Philly. I know who Matt Collins is. Matt Collins is a beast on special teams. He's a big body cat. He's a tough, hard-nosed receiver. He should not be leading a team in receiving touchdowns. And he is the Buffalo Bills touchdown reception leader. Can you imagine? Like, firsthand, if I can talk to any fan base, I can talk to this one. Josh Allen has the Bills at like 10-3, gave you 6 touchdowns, and their leading receiver was a special teams player for the Eagles. Didn't even get on the field to receive. Come on. Come on, man.
A guy who rides his bike to the game on game day and arrives in bare feet.
So Eagles fans should understand if Saquon breaks the record, no doubt we'll have that conversation. But until then, Josh.
But here's an argument for Saquon. The Eagles currently have the second worst passing attack in the NFL. And Saquon Barkley reminds me of when T.O. came to the Eagles, Donovan and T.O. together, and that passing attack just taking over the NFL. I mean, what he has done for this team with an already great offensive line, it's a great argument because maybe there should be a separation of quarterback award and then best offensive player award.
Well, the hard part is, and I hear you, the hard part for me is like, man, bro, Josh got to do so much.
Yeah.
Think, bro, Eagles got a better offensive line than the Bills. They got a better receiving core than the Bills. They got a better running back than the Bills. They got a better defense than the Bills. And they roughly the same team. Like that's Josh, bro. That's you take Josh off the Bills and put an average quarterback there, they're probably 5-7, 5-8. You take Saquon off the Eagles, put an average running back there, they're still probably a 4-loss team. You know what I mean? They're still good. You know what I mean? Like, so Josh is crazy, bro. Saquon's crazy too, but that's different.
Hey, it's a great argument right now, and I think the Eagles win over Lamar Jackson kind of pushed Lamar to the side a little bit and put Saquon up there.
That pushed Lamar to me out the race because at the point in which Lamar has 5 losses, you know what I mean? Like that pushes him out the race in this year. If it was like last year, a down year, cool. But now to me, it's a 2-man race. Josh and Saquon, there are dark horses. Sam Darnold is a dark horse. 5 touchdowns, no picks last week. I think he might have 28 touchdowns, 10 picks on the year. And Jared Goff, dark horse.
Well, you know how much pain New York is in right now because they allowed Saquon to go to the Eagles. Their season is in tatters. And then if Sam Darnold wins MVP and then Juan Soto, he's still in New York, but Juan Soto switched teams and goes to the Mets. I mean, New York is feeling it right now football-wise.
But that's what happens with bad management. Now, Soto got to take the bread. I feel him there. I mean, I guess I heard he's making $140,000 a day for the next 15 years. So Soto got to take the bread. Letting Saquon, but here's the thing I'll say about the running backs. Giants shouldn't have let Saquon go. No. But the Giants would still be a terrible team with Saquon Barkley. The Raiders would still be a terrible team with Josh Jacobs. And the Titans would still be a terrible team with Derrick Henry. Now, should they have gotten something for those individuals? Yes. But those teams would still be bad. They'd still be bad.
So to wrap this up, I think you're talking about it starts with the offensive line for a team, the foundation. And you were here and witnessed the beginning of Lane Johnson's run in Philly. And you were here when Jeff Stoutland was hired by Chip Kelly. And for you to see what they have done, and Lane tweeted this out, that he was there for LaShawn McCoy's record-setting days, the snow game 11 years ago and all that. And now to see Saquon Barkley, I mean, how impressive has this run where the offensive line is the complete, it's the foundation of everything the Eagles do for the last decade or more.
I'm going to tell you a name. I believe this is his name, Alejandro Villanueva.
Yeah.
I think that was the left tackle, ended up playing for the Steelers, was playing for the Eagles. The reason I told you that name, Jeff Stoutland, and have one of your researchers confirm, Jeff Stoutland is the secret sauce. I've been paid no higher compliment in my life than when Jeff Stoutland came up to me, obviously as a scout team linebacker. I was a backup linebacker, and he said, "Hey, Acho, I want to test this play on you because you're smart. And if it'll work on you, I trust that it'll work on them." And it was a handback play that Chip Kelly was installing in 2014. Jeff Stoutland turned Alejandro Villanueva from a defensive tackle into a $70 million left tackle for the Steelers, like a 10-year NFL player. He was a third-team defensive tackle that had never played, I don't think, football before. He had come from the military. I say that to say, what Stoutland has done, he's probably the best position coach in the game of football.
Hey, that is a great name you just said, because I had kind of forgotten about that. And then you add Jordan Mailata, who had never played football. He was a rugby guy. And then you see what they've done with Mekhi Becton.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And that's why, like, Jets fans are like, "Oh, we gave up on Mekhi too early." No, you didn't. He wasn't going to be that. He wasn't going to be what he is here over there. He wasn't going to be. Bro, remember Lane Johnson, like, was a project. Top 10 pick, but, like, Lane, I think, was a quarterback in high school, then went to tight end, then went to left tackle, then moved to right tackle, came in the league kind of frail, like, and now he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Like, because remember, I was there when these cats got drafted. Like, I was there when they was building all this. Bro, Stout's amazing. Lane's amazing. And the pride that room takes is amazing.
It is pretty cool. And we looked it up because Chris Long was on this podcast last week and said he thinks it might be one of the greatest runs in NFL history over, a decade or more of dominating. I mean, they have the second most rushing yards behind the Ravens over the last 11 years since Jeff Stoutland has been there. And every single year, this line is producing, the top 3 rushers in the NFL.
Every single year, and different backs and different type of backs. You know what I'm saying? Like, so kudos to that. Now it's just passing game got to get going, and then the Eagles going to win a Super Bowl.
There you go. We heard it from you. And Defensive Player of the Year, Zack Baun.
Right now, hell yeah.
Love it. Emmanuel Acho, you're great. We appreciate you being on once again, and we will watch you on FS1 on the facility, and you are also on HBO Max, huh?
Yeah, man. Second Chance Stage, a variety competition show for those that were into dancing and singing in their early 20s, but then a parent or a loved one may have gotten sick, so they had to go tether and tend to that loved one. But now in their mid to late 30s, it's their second chance at the stage. It's singers, it's dancers, it's saxophonists, it's tap dancers, it's magicians. A show that's safe and fun for the whole family. HBO Max, Second Chance Stage, I'm hosting it.
We'll be checking out. You are multi-talented. You're an author as well, so we appreciate you taking some time with us.
My brother, thank you, sir.
Oh, mom, so flagrant.